All right. Do we have signal? Yes, we have signal now, which we did not have previously. All right. So we are back on with coverage on a different area here in Florida, right? So yesterday we discussed Neo Cities development. We're going to be diving a little deeper into that. Back on, mommy. I promise I'm not prompting for her to come into the room and for us to be wearing the same color.
Look what we found at the park yesterday.
What is that again? What is that exactly?
Dumpling.
A dumpling?
A dumpling
I don't
top.
I don't know what a dumpling is, but we got to look into it. But we'll look into it when I'm done here, okay, baby?
It's
Pass me the mic.
uh, it's literally a dumpling
Give me a few
top.
minutes, my love, all right? We'll look up what a dumpling is here. And yeah, so yesterday we were talking about Neo City, and we're gonna continue the conversation on Neo City and how it's expanding into St. Cloud already. But I wanted to dive a little bit into what's happening out in the Tampa market, right? There's an infrastructure boom that is reshaping the real estate landscaping out there, and the headlines have been big on warning us about an apartment glut in that area. But what's quietly happening and what you're not going to see necessarily is the billions of dollars that's going into the water infrastructure, bridges, and job centers, right? And these are the things that are happening, being heavily invested into, that is going to shape the real estate out there for the next 50 years out, like decades and beyond, right? So I'm going to show you exactly where the smart movers, smart agents, and the smart money is looking. So as I had mentioned, this is the Florida Growth Watch, right? And this is where we're going to be cutting through the noise and looking at where Florida is actually headed as a whole, right? Because there's a lot going on, a lot of things to look forward to in the news and in politics. And when I say news, I'm referring to the good news, the things that are positively impacting Florida's population, right? Um, and in the Tampa Bay region, right, there's things that are going on that might actually surprise you. So, first of all, the apartment glut, right? The headlines reading vacancy being at a 25-year high, right? So there's also the theoretical migration boom fading away, right? So typically you'd hear something like there's a thousand people moving to Florida on a daily basis, right? I think I've heard that number be as high as 1,200 people a day. But there's been, you know, a little skepticism behind how valid that's remained, right? And it's not just that those headlines are wrong, right? But it's also not the whole story. It's just a soundbite, because at the same time that you're seeing those articles and seeing those clips go out, Tampa Bay is actually having one of its largest infrastructure build outs in history, in history. And I mean, when there's billions of dollars pouring into just Ybor City, which is just a sector of Tampa alone, I mean, there's things to look out for, right? um so, like, you have to wonder, like, is this region building for the next 50 years, and is that short term like apartments surplus, right? Like, is it a warning sign? A lot of people who are either skeptic or scared, they might consider that a warning sign. But on the flip side of that, could it be an opportunity, right? And that's what we're gonna get into. So, um, for the most part, right? Let's talk about the things you can see versus the things you can't. What you can see are the cranes, right? And what you can't see are the pipes. So there are two projects that are redrawing the map in downtown Tampa. And the first one is Water Street, Tampa, right? A multi billion dollar, roughly 5 million square foot mixed use district, which is delivering residential, office, hospitality, and retail in phases right through this year. And then next door to that, you have what's called the Gasworks District, connecting downtown to the historic Ybor City. And that's in full swing, right? So when that project is complete, it's going to be bringing 5,000 new homes, a half a million square feet of office, and 140,000 square feet of retail. And its first residential tower, the Stevedore, opens this year. And then the office tower lands late this year, and a public marketplace and park are right behind it, right? So here's the part that most people miss because it's underground, right? Tampa Bay water. Just, you okay? I heard a lot of noise back there. It sounded like somebody fell. That was the chair? Okay. But that was Valentina with the chair? Hmm? You think so? Okay. You don't want to say hi to the camera? You're opposite of Valentina, huh? All right. I can tax you on a slice though, right? No, I can't tax you for interrupting my live. I think I'm gonna tax you anyways. And here, you're lucky that it's not two. All right. So, um, all right. Tampa Bay just started tunneling a 26-mile, $500 million water pipeline built to deliver up to 65 million gallons a day to southern Hillsbury County. So now, in what market do you spend that amount of money, right? $500 million on water capacity for a region that you're expecting to shrink? There's no way that pipeline is a 50-year bet on pre-anticipated growth, right? And it's definitely a signal worth more than any singular month, any isolated single month sales report, right? So, um let's talk about how people are going to move, right? So growth only works if people can actually get around. And this is where Tampa Bay is really putting money on the table, right? And that's in the Howard Franklin Bridge, right? So this is going to be connecting the Howard Franklin Bridge is connecting Hillsborough and Pinellas, right? And their neighboring counties, and it's getting nearly a $1 billion expansion with new express lanes serving the 200,000 people who cross it every day. That's $1 billion um, in that expansion plan, right? On top of that, the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority has laid out a $752 million investment plan running from this year all the way through to 2031. That's 5 years. That's only 10% of a 50-year infrastructure build out, right? Most of it going straight into roadway and smart transportation infrastructure to cut congestion and improve safety. So, why does this matter to you, whether you're moving here or investing here? And that's because commute time impacts the quality of life, and access is value, right? When you shorten the drive between two job centers or from one place, let's just say Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, right across the bridge to Tampa, you don't save people time, but you turn the neighborhoods in between into more desirable addresses or areas, right? Now, the infrastructure, let's just say that's the skeleton, right? And what's going to attract people to an area, especially the growth, right, from both investors and residents, is jobs, right? And the job story gets strong here. What we got? What you need next? You said what? You want another one? Okay. Well, give me just a few more minutes. I got just a few more parts to go over, and then we're done here. Okay, mommy? All right. So, um, jobs, right? So, Geico just opened. I know we spoke about a few things, mentioned a few things in yesterday's episode about big conglomerates moving to Miami, right? But Geico just opened a Tampa campus with plans for about 1,500 jobs. And the Tampa Bay Economic Development Council closed 29 projects in its last fiscal year. So that's about 2020, just under 2,300 new jobs and more than $273 million in capital investment in Hillsborough County alone. So we're seeing companies relocate in their entireties from higher tax states. Um, Orion Edge moved its headquarters here, citing proximity to U.S. Special Operations Command. Um, Wagamama, a national restaurant brand, moved its U.S. headquarters to Tampa's West Shore, and tech firms are landing in Channelside, right? So, Hillsborough County, right, with all of that movement, Hillsborough County is projected to add roughly around 121,000 more jobs. I'm sorry, more residents by 2030. So I'll give you an example. That's 120,000 here in the city of St. Cloud itself. From 2020 to 2025, the city council had under projected St. Cloud's growth by over 20,000 people, right, in that 5 year period. And for example, that's why we have that $60 million 150 unit apartment building being spoken of going up in downtown St. Cloud now. So, um, I'm gonna be straight with you. This is the whole point of the show, right? Tampa's multifamily market, right, hit just about 10.7% vacancy, which is the highest reported vacancy since tracking began back in the year 2000, right? Um, Builders delivered roughly around 25,000 apartments in 3 years, and even strong migration. Even if we were at that rate of 1,000 to 1,200 people a day moving into the state, um, it can't absorb all of that at once, right? Um, and on top of that, Pinellas County, for example, actually lost population this past year due to the combination of the couple of hurricane seasons and the affordability pressure, right? So how I read it is this. Um, and I want you to hear the nuance here, right? Like the supply surge is a 2024 to 2026 story, right? The demand drivers, the water pipeline, the bridge, the job announcements, the projection of 121,000 new residents, those are like all stories that are for 2030 and beyond. The stuff that is just in preparation, in anticipation, right? So when the short-term supply runs ahead of demand, you get a window, right? And this is the window that we're in right now, right? Renters get choices, the concessions, buyers get stronger negotiation room. As I mentioned to you yesterday, the negotiations that we've been able to have, and like, not only it's crazy because not only our own lenders that we work with are wondering how we're restructuring these deals, right? So like, we'll dive deeper into that later, but um our lenders, our own vendors, the people who we work with are wondering when we bring a table to their a contract to their attention and the details of that contract, they're wondering how are you guys even bringing these buyers in with little to no closing costs out of pocket, right? um so buyers getting negotiation room, right? And right now, a major factor for investors, the most patient investors, they get to acquire into a growth corridor while everyone else is reading the scary headlines, right? And this is a matter of understanding which clock you're reading, because when most people talk about timing the market, like, yeah, you can time the market, but if you're not paying attention to what's happening outside of the headlines and the sound bites, then you're in the wrong clock, right? So here's the takeaway for today. Like, Tampa Bay is not betting on the next 90 days. It's betting and building for the next half a century. So between the cranes downtown, the pipe under Southern Hillsborough, the express lanes across the bay, and the headquarters moving in from high tax states, like, this is just the foundation being laid down, right? The current apartment surplus is a part of the noise, but the infrastructure, the amount of money and attention being paid to the infrastructure is the true signal. So if you're thinking about relocating here, this might be the best window for you to learn the geography before the rest of the country catches up, because there are people, particularly entrepreneurs, who have been paying attention long before everything that's happening now, right? If you're an agent, this is the kind of story that turns you from a salesperson into a trusted advisor. Knowing what's to come and being there in anticipation of it is going to elevate you. And if you're an investor, this is exactly the kind of moment, um, based on the long-term fundamentals and the short-term pricing, the opportunities being there. This is the moment that builds real wealth for the long term, and you guys are going to want to stick around, because after this we're going to tell you exactly how to take the next step. um and this is what the Florida Growth Watch is going to be all about. So I'm going to see you all tomorrow. It's day 2 of summer, and we're going to continue this summer series for you, the Florida Growth Watch, here live, all throughout the summer as we tweak the new direction of the channel. For those of you who don't know, I'm Robert Kenneth Morillo with Aroa Real Estate, and the channel is Morillo's Monopoly Moves. So we're gonna be giving you more. Let's see. We're gonna be giving you more as time passes and answering any and all questions. So feel free to answer questions or ask your questions in the comment section, and we'll be taking it all from there. Tomorrow we'll be reverting, most likely reverting back to what's happening with Neo City here in the St. Cloud area. And then we'll be speaking to all things Osceola County as well. Um just in regards to chat here. Northern Surfer Boy. All right, you want water property. Alligators can be an issue. Very seldom though. I don't really hear too many alligator stories coming around except for when they're on land. But for the most part, um, you'll hear one-off stories. I don't really see them as an issue. But if you want water property, we can definitely have a discussion. Um, and feel free to reach out with the information on the channel. Okay, I see here as a Canadian is getting a mortgage an issue. I don't see it being an issue. We can definitely get you talking with a lender. And we have different programs that we have access to, such as bank statement loans and foreign national loans. So no issue whatsoever. We have financing options for any and everybody. So I'll reach out. I'll give you a shout. Let's see. If anything, you can reach me on WhatsApp or send me an email. Let's do WhatsApp. I'll send you my direct line there, 7429. And then we can do email. You can just email Florida at aroarealestate.com. And then I can get you a copy of our relocation guide as well. So you let me know. We can do either or. I can have a physical copy mailed out to you wherever you're at internationally, and then I can get you a PDF digital copy as well. And no, Tampa is not the only area that I handle. I was just doing some research earlier this morning, and I decided to bring it up because I was unaware of all the infrastructure that was going into Tampa. I was aware of everything that was happening in Ybor City, and all of the development and investment going on there. But as far as Tampa as a whole, I was unaware of the infrastructure that was going on. As far as especially the pipe project, right? But yeah, we handle all over the state of Florida. We are also in South Florida, um, and we can handle every part of Florida that you can think of. We cover every corner. So we're based out of Central Florida, the Osceola County market, but we're all over the state of Florida. So in fact, the relocation guide that I mentioned to you covers each sector of Florida. It covers North Florida, Central Florida, and South Florida. Um, because we like to make sure that we understand, your family dynamics and your lifestyle dynamics at every level possible, and make sure we're getting you in the area that's most suitable for either the life you're trying to build or wherever you're looking to retire. Let's see, in Kissimmee, what would a townhouse in a decent area on average cost? All right, in Kissimmee, a when you say a decent area, average cost in Kissimmee, I'm gonna say anywhere between 3 to 400,000. You're gonna get a decent townhouse. Especially it's gonna be on the higher end if you're gonna want a townhouse that has, let's just say, for instance, a bedroom on the first floor, full bath on the first floor, and then have your additional bedrooms upstairs. So, but feel free to reach out. We're gonna be ending the stream now. I'll be available to answer any additional questions during tomorrow's live at 12:30, same time, same place, same time. and we'll take things from there.